Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a hilarious video for you here today. Apparently, modern women are stopping dating men, or at least the liberal ones are. So let's jump into it. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments.
America, the land where women can do whatever the hell they want. They can own guns, sexy guns, and shoot them all day long. Women know that they are free, unless of course they're unhinged woke lunatics.
And I'm so worried for so many people in your cheap ass fucking gas because you're fucking broke as shit. Bitch, ring out the phone. Get broke. And I don't know what to do. I know you're gonna ask me what to do. And now this is all gonna be taken away because of him.
You know, guys, there's nothing more refreshing in the morning than waking up with a coffee and just seeing women on the internet crying and complaining about absolutely nothing. Bear in mind, by the way, that a lot of these clips were right after Donald Trump got elected. And so they feel like, obviously, the following day they were going to be imprisoned or something. You know, all of their rights were going to be taken away as women, and life was about to get a whole lot harder for them, apparently. But, you know, these tears, they do bring me joy, honestly.
I swear to God, if you idiots elect that demented man.
We live in a country that hates women. We can't pretend anymore.
4B movement starting. You know what we're gonna do? We're not gonna dye our hair anymore. We're not gonna do makeup. We're not gonna go get the skin stuff. We're not gonna dress up and look nice.
I've gotten a taste of what it is to be a stay-at-home wifey. I woke up early, I made my man some protein pancakes.
So just to be clear, we will not be sleeping with men for the next 4 years.
For real, fuck men. Fuck all of you.
Isn't it crazy how it's always like the complete and utter psycho women who come out with this stuff on TikTok, by the way? Like the types of women that no dudes with any level of self-respect would be interested in the first place. And they're like, yeah, you know, we're not going to hook up with men anymore. It's like, okay, number one, nobody asked. Number two, nobody cares. And number three, this changes absolutely nothing, guys. The women are still going to go out there, and it's still going. This whole thing has completely fallen flat on its face, and it changed absolutely nothing, right? The women are still going to go out there and try and hook up with the men that they find attractive. The average men are still going to be invisible to them, and nobody's going to give a damn. Okay? Oh no, you're shaving your hair, or you're not dyeing your hair anymore. That was not on my agenda for today to even notice, and yet somehow, you know, these women think that people give a damn.
Then we went to the gym, because you gotta stay hot for your man. You can't be an uggo.
And making women think that we need to look a certain way or be a certain way or you.
Be a menace to men on dating apps.
Stop dating men. Stop having sex with men. Stop talking to men. Divorce your husband.
You are a cult.
Is this woman here? She's saying divorce your husbands while she's taking scissors. This is a funny picture. Opting out, 4B, divorce your husbands. Holy.
Divorce your husband. You are a cult. A fucking cult.
There is no dating men. There is no marrying men. There is no living with men, and there's no having sex with men.
What about the 52% of white women who don't fucking care what you say?
I get to stay at home and take care of the house, do laundry, cook, clean, raise a couple babies, go shopping, and use my man's money.
What are you gonna do about that?
I don't know what to do.
Oh boy, the liberal wokies are truly broken, my friends, and I don't see them recovering anytime soon.
I can't do this anymore.
They are absolutely losing their screaming into the abyss, shaving their heads, and yelling 4B movement all day long, as if it's some sort of magic spell.
The 4B movement.
The 4B movement. 4B movement. The 4B movement.
Now the funny part of them jumping on this 4B bandwagon is not only that it's completely useless, but more importantly, it's not even original anymore, since they already did this earlier this year in April, and in March of 2023.
Yeah, and still nobody noticed or even cared. By the way, guys, you know, people like to pretend like these clown women on TikTok are just, oh, it's just a small handful of them. These are some videos here that this channel has pulled up. First one here has 1 million, one next to it, what is that, 104,233, 26K, guys. Like, you've got to understand that the lunatic women on TikTok are not alone. there's a lot of them, man. And for every one video that you see that has, you know, a couple 100,000 views on it, there's always a whole bunch of comments, a whole bunch of women agreeing with them. I mean, this is no small thing. But again, the problem is for these women is that nobody gives a damn. All of the dudes who didn't want to deal with you anyway are just sitting there, and they will just go fishing or play video games. It changes their life not one bit. And also, there are a lot of women watching these women lose their minds on TikTok thinking, wow, they're making us look bad, you know?
Is not only that it's completely useless, but more importantly, it's not even original anymore. Since they already did this earlier this year in April, and in March of 2023, and in May of 2022, but somehow this time it's for realsies.
Ladies, where are we going? 4B movement for real.
Yeah, sure thing, bro. Please drop a like if you think that these women refusing to date men does nothing to impact you, and comment down below what you think. Because these type of women seem to completely lack any type of self-awareness that no Republican, moderate, or independent man is even interested in them.
If you're a conservative woman, I'm gonna seduce your husband. I'm gonna seduce your husband.
This has to be satire, man. I see half these videos and I think to myself, surely this is a joke. But you know, guys, yeah, apparently women, this individual is coming after your husbands. Yeah, I wonder how that'll work out.
I'm going to look him in the eye.
They're all crazy radical feminists, and most of them weren't even sleeping with men to begin with.
As somebody who's been 4B for 2 years now.
But somehow they're gonna take away that thing that they don't even have. Doesn't make any sense, but we'll get to that in a minute. Because more importantly, every single time these left-wing women don't get their way, they start bitching and moaning about how it's all men's fault and that they will stop dating and sleeping with men, but it's just a lazy attempt to try and control men, kind of like French titty protests that always go nowhere and are easily forgotten. I must have seen a dozen of these, and I literally have no idea what these were about. But anyways, back to the insane propaganda of women supposedly losing all of their rights.
The fact that you would purposefully vote for somebody who wants to take away my rights as a woman.
What the heck are
Just by the way, Trump had already been elected by this point as well. Like, do these people forget that he had already become president for a previous 4 years before this? And you know what, guys, I'm not American, okay, clearly from my terrible Australian accent, but even I have the brains to understand that things were going a lot better when Trump was president. And by the way, they all think that they're going to lose their rights, and oh no, they're gonna lose absolutely everything. But as far as I understand it, number one, the rights that they're talking about are going out there and having abortions, which is, you know, whether we can call that a right is an interesting discussion in the first place. But they actually got more of an ability to do this under Trump anyway. As far as I understand it, the states actually got power to legislate over this. So there are more places in America now where women can freely go out there and exercise their quote-unquote rights. But yeah, all of these women think that they're just majorly oppressed and the world is going to end tomorrow. And by the way, guys, you know, this is a little while after Donald Trump has been elected, by the way, and immediately after he got elected, the economy just went completely nuts. It blew straight, just sky high. You know, dude is solving things without even being in office, it seems like. But yeah, tell us more about how the world is ending for you.
you talking about?
I was trying to guess who voted against my rights.
What rights am I losing?
Now, these idiots love to blame men for quote-unquote losing all of their rights, but not only did they not lose a single right.
Grow the f up. Nobody's taking your rights away, and trust me.
How do I tell my daughter that half of America hates her?
What fucking rights?
I think these women get it real confused. Let me just go back for a second. Like this woman here, they're always like, wow, people, they just dislike women. You know, everybody's out to get the women. No, people don't dislike women, okay? Tell that to the women who voted that particular way, by the way. They just don't like individuals like you. It's not even a gender thing. It's not even an ideology thing. They just don't like individuals like you. It's really quite simple. Whenever I see these videos, oh, people don't like women or blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they just don't like women like you, you know?
That half of America.
Woman! And if the only rights we're talking about are allowing men to come into the bathroom with me and play in women's sports, and the right to kill an unborn child,
I'm sorry, you're crazy and kind of demonic, so...
I agree.
But they also completely missed the main point, which is that almost half of all women voted for Donald Trump. So why are you blaming the men when you can't even convince women to vote with you?
Americans are sick and tired of racism and division. Therefore, they have rejected the left. The left in the US is the most racist and divisive group of people in the country.
And like divorcing their husbands and stuff. And I'm like, go for it, honey. Leave all the men out there for the conservative women to repopulate with, because we don't need this in the next generation. This is mental disorders.
But hey, female libtards will not let logic and basic facts stop them from being absolute lunatics, and so it's no wonder that they completely mangled and fucked up the entire meaning of the Korean 4B movement, which is not at all what American women think it is.
Don't worry, I've got you. The 4B movement over in South Korea is starting to get a lot of attention.
It's a pretty small fringe movement.
Like I said before, it's not a general mainstream idea.
First of all, what does 4B stand for? B is the Korean word for no.
P is in Korean, and it's actually a Chinese character.
Starting a movement called the 4B movement, also known as the Four No's.
Actually a Chinese character for saying not to do.
Right.
The fact that South Korea has like one of the lowest fertility rates in the entire world right now. So yeah, I would argue that it's pretty effective.
4B is not responsible for the low birth rates, and much of it has to do with the extremely expensive cost of living.
Most of the females, they do not want to get married or give birth because of many other reasons. For example, like unaffordable house prices.
Women who are also fed up with dating.
Yeah, I love how you have all of the psycho women from like Western countries, you know, from like America and stuff. And they come out here and they make these videos and they don't even understand what they're trying to repurpose for themselves. It's like, let's just take this. This is what we think sounds good. This is what we think it means. And then meanwhile, the Korean women come out here and they're like, actually, no, all of this is incorrect. You're attributing this to all of the wrong problems. But the liberal women over in America and you know, these predominant Western countries don't give a damn, guys. They make it all about themselves. They have no regard for what the initial quote unquote movement was even about in the first place.
It's not like they do not want to date or they do not want to have sex, you know, with guys.
So they're basically wrong on every single point that the 4B movement stands for, which perfectly explains why 4B never took off in the US in the first place and why it never will.
And now the feminists, the girls who were posting for this 4B movement are being canceled.
I think the B4 movement is absolutely disgusting and shameful and so disrespectful.
Now, what is truly ironic and a real cherry on top this 4B madness is that most of the people that are screaming 4B have no idea that 4B is actually deeply anti-LGBTQ and deeply homophobic.
Because anti-LGBTQ sentiment has been a big problem within some of these more provocative groups. They're just as transphobic and homophobic.
You see, like I said earlier, 4B is a radical feminist movement, which means that they are super pro-women, and unlike the West, they have zero doubts about what a woman is.
Ooh, can't have discussions about that one, guys. You know, they don't want to talk about that, right? They just... it's just so funny to me how you have the liberal Western women who take stuff like this. They have no idea what it even means in the first place. And they're like, yeah, good enough. And then they just run with it and turn it into something that it's not even about and try and gaslight everyone. It's like, no, it's about this. But you look into it for 2 seconds, you actually listen to people, I don't know, for example, the women who are from these countries. And apparently it turns out it's completely different. What do you know?
What is a woman?
What is it? That's a stupid question, dude.
I'm a
feminist, and I don't hate men.
Okay, so you are a self-described feminist. What is a woman?
Why do you want to know?
No. What? Oh my goodness. These things are so hard to watch, man. It's like, the problem is, even if you don't like the dudes who are doing these interviews, it just makes the other people look completely stupid because they can't answer a basic question. You know, you might sit here and you might go, well, I don't like this interviewer or whatever the case may be. But the other side just will always consistently look worse than them because they can't even answer basic questions. You know, it just makes the guy sitting on the opposite side of the table look like a complete genius, even though he's just asking a simple question. My favorite version of this is, I think it was Matt Walsh who did this. Didn't he come out with like a a series or something like this, and he just asked people the question, what is a woman? And they all lost their marbles over it. I think he asked like a gender studies professor or something like this, and they just lost it at him and just refused to answer the question directly, by the way.
What is a woman? It's not a trick question.
You're trying to get a gotcha.
You're a feminist. Shouldn't you be able to tell me what a woman is?
So as you can see, this makes it absolutely hilarious when you see these idiots on the left that are pro-LGBTQ or pro-trans promoting the 4B movement.
For all the straight girls that want to join the 4B movement, we've got you. Come on over.
As a 51-year-old transgender woman, I come to applaud your efforts and stand in solidarity with you.
Not knowing that they're literally supporting a movement that hates them.
They view trans women as infiltrators.
What on earth is going on here? Now, I can't say anything without getting banned, but let me just say this is a very unique, it's a very distinguished look. Love the earrings. No idea what they are. It's so interesting, guys, isn't it? Very interesting. I have to use describing words like interesting because otherwise I'll just get completely banned. But yeah, these are the women who are out here trying to convince other women to go around and divorce their husbands and, you know, not hook up with men and stuff like this. Really out there doing the hard work, guys. You know, I look at individuals like this and I guarantee you they've never done a hard day's work in their entire life. I don't even think they could shovel dirt adequately. Like, they would not be able to use a shovel to move a single pile of dirt. They would be completely incapable of doing it. They'd like start sweating and say how they need to go inside and get a glass of water immediately. What the hell is this?
To the women's movement.
4B is not that popular, and it's actually often criticized by Korean leftists for being an incredibly transphobic and homophobic movement.
They also viewed women in romantic partnerships with men, regardless of how that relationship was going, as traitors to women.
That many Korean women find way too aggressive for their taste, and so it never really took off in Korea itself.
But compared to the period of time between 2016 and 2020 at that time, I think the rhetoric itself, the gender war itself, has waned a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you take a look at general elections, they do not have any woman-centric policies.
You see, South Korea is a very unique country where competition for high school and university is on a whole nother level.
Students are coached to the point of exhaustion.
제 자신이 있는 거죠, 뭐.
In Korea, the university you attend is regarded by the society as one of the most important factors for determining your success in life.
Average, they'll do 15 hours a day.
South Korean students that easily make it into Oxford, Harvard, or MIT constantly get refused by their own Korean universities, even when they have perfect SAT scores. And if you don't get into the best universities in Korea, then your job prospects are basically zero and you'll be working your ass off while not making any money.
지원서들을 쫙 바닥에 깔아두고 좋은 대학이 적혀져 있는 지원자들은 한쪽으로 두고 그렇지 않은 지원자들의 그 지원서들은 모두 그냥 쓰레기통으로 버린다 이런 말이 있을 정도로
Korean education system is very competitive and then very pressured, and they didn't allow me to do something I want.
Millions of South Koreans struggle financially even though they easily work 50 to 60 hours a week, which is technically not even allowed since the legal limit was reduced from 68 hours a week to 52 hours a week in 2018. Now, in addition to this, the 5-day work week is also relatively new in South Korea in terms of labor laws, since it was only introduced in 2004, and before that, the 6-day work week was a lot more common. However, recently, some Korean companies have reintroduced the 6-day work week for their executives, which is putting even more pressure on the lower skilled workers to work harder and longer without complaining. So clearly, the low birth weight in South Korea and the reluctance to have kids is not because of bad dating experiences with men, as these Western feminists want you to believe.
Yeah, so basically, over in Korea, they're struggling because of the economy and nobody can afford to have children. And nobody is really in the position to do so, or else they'll probably go homeless. Meanwhile, people over in the West, yes, everything's inflated and all that, but the women predominantly don't want to have kids with men because they've had bad experiences with men. Now, guys, let me just say this, okay? If you actually take a listen to the dating experiences of modern women and how quote-unquote terrible it is all entirely self-inflicted, by the way. Like, again, go and watch these women actually use dating applications in their day-to-day life, and you'll see why they have difficulty. You know, like, they, number one, they treat the average man like complete trash. They don't care about him whatsoever. Dudes can go out here and do nice things for modern women, but if it doesn't come from a man who's highly attractive, they don't give a damn. And then they wonder why they're single. They're shooting out of their damn league. The dudes are playing them for a fiddle, and apparently it's all men's fault. You know, and we're supposed to be chivalrous by the time she's been with 30 different dudes. It's ridiculous, guys. Women these days, when they go out there and they date men, are doing it completely incorrectly, and I'm supposed to feel sorry for them. You know, they rock up to like 35 and they start making videos crying and complaining, and I don't care. And I don't think a lot of men really give a damn, because they got overlooked all the way up until the point at which those women turned 35 to begin with. It's stupid.
아이를 몇 명 정도 낳고 싶은가요? 마음 같아서는 많이 낳고 싶은데 막 일도 하고 이러다 보면 아무래도 커리어에도 영향이 갈 것 같아서 한 명도 어렵지 않을까? 한 명으로 또 충분하지 않을까? 이런 생각을.
저는 결혼을 완전 하고 싶다 주의거든요. 애들도 너무 좋아하고 그리고 꼭 나중에 가정을 이루고 싶고.
혹시 아이는 몇 명 정도 낳고 싶어 하세요?
저는 2명 낳고 싶은데 이거는 타협한 결과예요. 원래는 한 3명, 4명 이렇게 좀 많이 낳고 싶었는데 아무래도 한국에서 3, 4명 이상의 아이를 낳고 키우려면 엄청난 부자가 되어야 할 것 같다는 생각이 있거든요.
It's because of an extreme case of economic mismanagement by the Korean government. So when you put all of this together, it makes perfect sense why so many Korean women do not want to get pregnant, since they simply had to work their ass off ever since they were 12 years old.
So I always studied even after the midnight. So I hate that. So looking back to my student days, it was terrible.
And so they obviously don't want to give all of that up, which brings us back to the misinformed libtards in the West, because when Roe v. Wade got overturned, we saw the same delusional rhetoric of going on sex strikes and swearing off men. But clearly this did not happen, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about 4B again.
Yeah, so the way it works is it becomes a trend, and then modern women, you know, they try and hype it up like anyone gives a damn, and then they realize that nobody actually cares at the end of the day, and so then they stop doing it. It's all about attention to begin with. I said this, guys, as soon as we started seeing these videos from modern women saying that they were going to stop hooking up with guys and stop marrying dudes and stop having children with them. And I said immediately, this will change absolutely nothing. The average guys will still get ignored. You know, the dudes that they want to hook up with, they're still going to hook up with the exact same men, and it's going to blow over very damn quickly because they don't get the attention that they want, and it's completely ineffective. And what exactly happened, guys? Well, the videos died out, the women stopped doing this stuff as much. I have been informed that women are still shaving their heads in protest, which I do find to be very, very funny. I always find it, you know, it improves my day when I come across the videos of these women shaving their heads. I think it's endlessly funny. But yeah, at the end of the day, nobody cares. So they end up, you know, they shut up about it because really they just want attention and they want to be nice and loud. And it's just like a toddler, really. It's like having a small child who at the end of the day is just throwing a tantrum because they want to get attention from people around them.
And so ironically, this whole cry for 4B in the West perfectly illustrates two things that feminists try to fight against. One, the idea that women are only good for one thing, sex.
It kind of feeds back into the conversation of white women don't really have any internal power and they just use sexual exploitation and emotional manipulation, because it sounds to me like the only thing that white women are coming up with is not putting out. So that tells me that the only power that they can come up with is their bodies.
Yep.
And let me tell you this, a lot of guys do not give a damn, right? They are past the point of giving a crap about this sort of stuff, you know? Like, you have, let's just say you have some highly attractive dude and you have some woman who says, well, I'm not going to hook up with you anymore because you don't like women. Number one, she will go back to that dude eventually anyway. But number two, he's not going to care. The dude's just going to hear that and he's going to go, okay, no problem, on to the next one. And there's going to be some woman who will still do it. The thing is, guys, is so many women go out here and they disrespect themselves so much that they have lowered the market price of women collectively. The dudes have no reason to commit to them. They can just go on to the next one who behaves the exact same way because he has no interest in committing to you in the first place. You know, it's like, and women don't want to acknowledge this. They're all like, yeah, that's empowering, that's strong and independent. But none of them seem to realize that this is really, you know, you're collectively convincing men not to deal with you.
Yep, definitely not a power move. And the second is the idea that feminists are just a bunch of man-hating weirdos. Because again, the moment they did not get their way, they threw a temper tantrum, started cutting off their hair, and swore off men, even though 44% of women voted the exact same way as those men.
A fundamental premise of an organized and secure country is that there are borders, you must be vetted to come in, and you must obey the law.
You really shouldn't be that worried about him becoming president. He was already president, you know that, right? And you survived.
So they're gonna shave their heads, abstain from marriage, dating, and procreating? I mean, I didn't think we could win twice in one day, but here we are.
You know what's bad, by the way, when the women on TikTok, there's like a huge subset of women on TikTok who roast the women who posted these videos in the first place. You know, it's really damn stupid when the women on TikTok then make TikTok videos completely clowning on the women who are making the original ones. You know, I think that's kind of the gold standard metric for, wow, that is not only is what you're saying incredibly stupid, but also the people on TikTok over there are disagreeing with you as well. I think that's a distinguishment to make. Let's keep going.
And so, if you're not a man-hating movement, then why are you only targeting men for something that men and women did together, and you still had a massive amount of men also voting for Harris? So singling out men makes absolutely no sense. Now, in addition to all of this, the lure in the West for male validation and attention is simply too strong, and there's no way the majority of women are ever going to give that up, and they're not going to make themselves ugly or unappealing to men. Not just despite men they don't agree with, and they're already not interacting or sleeping with.
I can tell you one thing right now, marriage is the farthest thing from on the table. And the men, don't even get me started about dating. The thing.
I love how women will just hold marriage and they'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to marry you. And they think that this is somehow a threat against men. These women do not understand that marriage is a complete scam for dudes. There's a whole lot of risk associated with getting married that, to be honest, men take pretty much 100% of that. Okay? And your threat here to men is, we won't marry you. Try again. Dudes are going to look at this, they're going to hear you say this, and they're going to laugh. Oh no, you're not going to marry us. The dudes were not wanting to marry you in the first place. I'm pretty sure it's something like 6 in 1,000 dudes are out there getting married these days. And if you look at the statistics, probably marrying women like this, it's even lower. Like, you have to get a real simp to come out there and marry women like this, to be honest with you. And their threat, their way of saying, hey, listen, men, we're real serious, is to try and hold marriage against them. Marriage is something that benefits women, guys. Like, this is ridiculous, hilarious.
I was still entertaining a few moderates here and there sometimes. No, honey, no.
You see, this woman wasn't even sleeping with Republican, independent, or third-party men anyways, and that applies to all of her lunatic comrades who believe in the same nonsense as she does. Since unless you're a 100% pussified soy boy, left-wing lunatics want nothing to do with you. Which means that the 4B movement in the West could only ever have friendly fire, where the most submissive, self-deprecating white guys for Harris are the ones who are not going to get laid, and conservatives are simply going to outbreed them.
The only way this works is if everybody does it. The same with voting. We can't even get them to fucking vote in line. You think you're gonna get them to stop fucking their husbands?
Stay free, my friends. This was Unhinged Woke Women Are Done With Men. Please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos.
Absolutely hilarious stuff here. So to summarize, guys, basically a whole bunch of lunatic liberal women from pretty much America, Western countries have said, listen, we're not going to marry dudes, we're not going to sleep with them, and we're not going to have children with them. And the men have said, okay. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Absolutely hilarious. Guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.